Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We'll bring you an update from Washington, D.C. on some of the issues that could impact your operation. Plus, we'll talk about the grassroots policy NCBA members have set and why it's important to the success of the beef industry.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Oxshire, coming to you from my family's ranching operation here in northeastern Colorado. I don't know about you, but for me, I've spent a lot more time the last 5 or 6 months dealing with the effects of this drought and the volatile markets than I have worrying about what's going on in Washington, D.C. And that's why I'm a member of NCBA. Because I know that while I'm walking these pastures, we've got a team of people walking the halls of Congress representing my best interests. We've got an update on what's happening in Washington, D.C. in this week's Beltway Beef Spotlight.
A fire at a Tyson beef processing facility in Kansas last August and the COVID-19 pandemic of this year created some of the most extreme supply chain disruptions and volatile cattle markets in memory. These black swan events emphasize the importance of implementing a sound risk management strategy on your operation. There are a multitude of risk management products and services available to farmers and ranchers through the Farm Bill, the CME Group, and private enterprise. Some producers may find value in programs administered through the United States Department of Agriculture, which offers whole farm and livestock-specific products. For example, the Risk Management Agency administers the Pasture Range and Forage Program, which is designed to help protect a producer's operation from the risks of forage loss due to the lack of precipitation. RMA also administers the Livestock Risk Protection Plan, which is designed to ensure against unexpected declines in market prices. LRP is available to both producers of both fed and feeder cattle and is available in most states. USDA recently made changes to LRP to ensure affordability and flexibility for cattle producers. For more information on the Farm Bill products available through USDA or to find an agent, visit rma.usda.gov. As many know, hedging with cattle futures is another option to producers of feeder and fed cattle. The CME Group offers cattle producers the ability to utilize the futures and options market to protect against price risk in the cattle markets. Futures contracts are available for feeder cattle in the contracts of 50,000 pounds and live cattle in contracts of 40,000 pounds. CME also allows hedgers to utilize options to further protect themselves with risk associated with rapidly shifting prices. For more information on managing risk with livestock futures, visit cme.com. NCBA remains committed to ensuring that cattle producers have access to the tools they need to run viable businesses and are constantly engaging with our partners on Capitol Hill to that end. Recently, Congressman Dusty Johnson of South Dakota introduced the Livestock Risk Management and Education Act. This legislation, which is supported by NCBA, would provide federal assistance to USDA and land-grant universities so they can better help you make the best risk management decisions for your operation. The bill has been introduced in the House and is awaiting a hearing in the House Agriculture Committee. You can find out more information about USDA programs, futures and options, or other risk management tools by reaching out to a cooperative extension agent or by contacting the NCBA office in Washington, D.C.
If you'd like to stay up to date on all the key issues and events from Washington, D.C., one way is by becoming a member of NCBA. When you join, you'll get the Beltway Beef Newsletter, a weekly update straight from Washington that provides valuable insights on the key policy initiatives that may impact your business. To join, just call 866-233-3872 or visit the website ncba.org. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll take a closer look at NCBA's policy-making process and why it's so important to the long-term success of the industry. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
At Case IH, we believe it's our job to provide you with solutions. That's why our Farmall and Maxim tractors, as well as our tools and attachments, are designed with you in mind. From mowing to baling to loading and more, we're here to help turn your to-dos into to-dones. At Case IH, we'll keep your days running smoothly with equipment that's durable, versatile, and highly efficient. No wonder farmers are more loyal to Case IH than any other brand. Visit your local dealer or go to caseih.com/livestock for more.
Stressors that trigger bovine respiratory disease are all around. So when you spot BRD in your herd, turn to Zuprevo, the fast that lasts. Zuprevo is rapidly absorbed in as little as 45 minutes and lasts up to 28 days. Because in the race against BRD, you need to win. Ready, set, Zuprevo. In case of human injection, seek immediate medical advice. For use in beef and non-lactating dairy cattle only. For prescribing information, talk to your veterinarian or visit Zuprevo.com.
Although NCBA is the nation's largest cattle industry organization, policymaking actually begins at the state and regional level across the United States. Russell Nemeth spoke with NCBA Policy Chair Todd Wilkinson about this grassroots process.
Well, thank you, Kevin. You know, at the recent summer business meeting, cattlemen and cattlewomen from across this country met to set the beef industry policy priorities for the 2021 fiscal year. Joining us now to talk more about the process is Todd Wilkinson, the chair of NCBA's Policy Division. And Todd, first thing out of the chute today, let's go ahead and have you explain how NCBA develops policy and why it's important.
You know, a lot of people don't understand how we do policy, and it's kind of fundamental that they do, because NCBA's policy comes from that cow-calf producer, that feeder, that stocker, the man or the woman out in the pasture or out in the plains. So they literally bring their ideas, their plans, their desires for policy to their state affiliate. The affiliates send it on to NCBA into the committee structure, and the committee structure debates it, modifies it, changes it, passes it, whatever the membership elects. But it's much like a processing hamburger. You put things in on the top, and you go through the process, and we come out with a membership-based plan or policy, as the case would be, and really works, because the average producer gets their voice in the process. We are not a top-down driven policy organization. We're bottom up, and that's one of the reasons I'm an NCBA member today.
Well, with that said, what are some of the top policy issues, Todd, NCBA is focusing on in 2021?
Well, of course, one of the main ones that's been the topic of a lot of conversation lately has been market price discovery, the issues with packer capacity. We simply lack sufficient shackle space across the country with packers to be able to process and get a competitive demand always for the producer. So we want to increase that capacity. Some of the other issues that are certainly high on the list, that COVID has changed our world. CFAP payments, PPP issues, frankly, acronyms that I had never heard of before, have all become highly relevant to the producers today. Traceability. I continue to see that traceability for animal disease purposes is becoming more and more relevant. I mean, COVID really emphasized and showed us how a pandemic can affect the global economy. You take that to a foot and mouth type situation, and you know what would happen with the beef industry. So those are just a couple of the topics that are relevant day in, day out. I could list 50 or 100 that NCBA is constantly working on, but it's a changing dynamic, Russell. I just can't emphasize how much the world has changed from the policy standpoint because of COVID, all in the last 6 months.
Well, absolutely, Todd. So I think next I'd like you to maybe explain why it's so important to have an organization like NCBA that represents all segments of the beef industry.
The biggest reason to have all segments there is so you get input from everybody. You know, if we just live with a world with the aspect of the feeder or the aspect of the cow-calf producer, and we don't put all those people at the table, we're going to lose part of the dynamics and the ability to move the industry forward. So having everybody at the table really becomes a key function of NCBA. And so often we focus on just a little segment as a producer. Me as a cow-calf operator, me as a feeder, want to focus on just my area. But to really define the beef industry, we have to have all the players at the table and all the people participating.
You know, Todd, my next question kind of goes hand in hand with your answer on this one, but with what was just said, why is a strong membership base for NCBA so important back in Washington, D.C. as well?
Really, you have to look at what is Washington, D.C. doing. They're representing, supposedly, I sometimes question it, they're representing us, the producers. And unless they're hearing from the membership, the producers themselves, they don't know what we need or what the issues are. So it's the members and their ability to communicate and join and convey that information up through NCBA that inform Washington. And unless we have a big membership base, and unless we have a lot of people participating, you know, I'm not just talking about somebody signing on a piece of paper that says they want to be a member. I'm actually talking about somebody that takes the time to shoot an email, to communicate their issues, to become part of an organization, and we then can carry that message to Washington. And when Washington hears a combined, unified message, they will respond. NCBA has demonstrated time and time again the power of the producer.
And Todd, before we let you go today, I'm anxious to know why you volunteer so much of your time to leadership roles in the beef industry.
Well, it's probably cliche, but it's a motto I live by. And that is, if you're going to be involved in an industry, if you're going to be involved in trying to better the organization that you're living, your way of life with the cattle industry, you have to be prepared to do more than just talk the talk. You have to be prepared to walk the walk. And I truly believe that motto. None of us, I think there's this big conception out there that if you get paid to be involved in NCBA leadership, well, I tell you, that's the opposite. It's very true. Your reward doesn't come in a monetary form. It comes from seeing results. And I just can't express how pleased that I am to see the results that can come from a grassroots organization when people take the time to be involved. And I just encourage everybody to be involved. Don't let somebody else set the table for your organization or for your industry. You be involved, you communicate, and be a part of NCBA, because we can make a difference.
Well, we're sure glad that you do take all that time to volunteer, not just for the NCBA, but also for the entire U.S. beef cattle industry. Todd, thank you so much, as always, for joining us here on Cattlemen to Cattlemen today.
Been my pleasure.
Thanks, Russell. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll introduce you to a Virginia producer who's using New Holland equipment to help expand his operation in unique ways. That story when we return. Stay with us.
Grass is the center of our universe. We've got to have a grass program that we can count on and plan on. That's what we need to sustain us, to keep us growing, to keep us prospering.
What does it mean to be dependable? It means you do what you say you'll do time and time again, because performance isn't optional, and your task is essential. For over 95 years, we have proven ourselves to be the most dependable choice. That's why the cattlemen of this great nation trust Ritchie to provide fresh water on demand. Ritchie, proud to be a partner to the American cattlemen since 1921.
Last week on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we introduced you to Matt Hagan, a Virginia farmer and professional drag racer. Matt has been evolving his cow-calf operation, adding direct-to-consumer beef sales, and most recently, growing hemp for production of CBD products. This week, reporter Matt Fleck takes a closer look at the hemp operation and how New Holland helps support his efforts.
In Virginia, hemp production dates back to the early 1600s. In fact, all Virginia farms at that time were required to grow it. But only since the 2018 Farm Bill has the crop become legal to grow once again. In addition to providing fiber, industrial hemp is harvested for cannabidiol, or CBD.
The hemp plant contains over 114 different cannabinoids in it. CBD has no psychoactive effects as compared to THC, so it's shown to offer anti-inflammatory qualities, pain relief qualities, and has helped a lot of people in a lot of different ways. Industrial hemp is a high CBD plant, made just for medicinal purposes.
We truly are not sourcing anything from anybody. We're growing it, we're bottling it, we're selling it to consumer, and we can be proud to stand behind that.
Using industrial hemp to create products for pain management was a passion of Matt Hagan's, one driven by his own experiences competing on the racetrack. And he's proud that his True Harvest farm is now a plant-to-product operation, with his CBD oils and ointments being offered to consumers around the country.
What's really been nice about hemp is that I truly have a passion about trying to figure out a way to help people, manage their pain. I deal with pain from race cars, and, I got some spine stuff going on from wrecking race cars. I can't be on pain pills, and I can't be, not being able to function and drive 330 miles an hour. So, I truly believe in it. I take it every day. I think the folks that come out here and see it, they pass by on the interstate and they can see us really truly growing the crop and taking it all the way from plant to pure product, and then being able to offer it to them out there, and then they know that they're getting something that we can stand behind, that we're proud of, that we worked hard about.
There's a lot of things that I really like about True Harvest. One thing is our visibility. We're right here along Interstate 81, so there's tens of thousands of people a day driving by and seeing what we're doing. We're very transparent. There's no hiding anything that we do. It's all right here in the open, and I feel like that really is a great quality for our consumers to be able to see what we're doing here and know where the product's coming from without any doubts. We're fully vertically integrated here. We have a 30,000 square foot greenhouse facility where we have what are called mother plants in the industry. We have a large mother plant and we take cuttings off of it. We focus on some different key nutrients along the way. The plant has higher needs for different nutrients at different times, depending on whether it's in the vegetative or the flowering stage. And so we try to cater to what it needs and optimize our yields throughout the growing season until we get ready to harvest.
Whether it's growing hemp or raising beef cattle, good reliable equipment is critical for Matt and his team. During one haying season, he turned to New Holland for help.
So how I transitioned into New Holland was kind of, one thing, it was by chance, to be honest with you. I had a baler break down one time. I had 100 acres of hay that basically was on the ground. The storm was coming in. I picked up the phone to our local Boone dealer down here and I said, hey, I got 100 acres of hay. I need some help. And they brought down 2 balers, and they said, try them. We want you to run them. And I got my hay up, and I called the boy up at the end of the day. I said, as long as you don't retire off of me on this deal, I was like, well, I'm going to buy these balers off of you. And we did that. And then the next thing you know, the relationship at the dealer was really what separated me, into moving everything into New Holland.
When we first started working with Matt, he was, of course, mainly just in the cattle industry. We've supported him as far as tractors, balers, disc binds, and everything. He really started into the hay and operation with his cattle, and we've worked really well with him as far as the equipment supply needs.
Knowing he could rely on New Holland equipment and the customer service from his local dealer, Matt looked to them for help as he founded True Harvest Hemp Farms.
We have a local dealer here with Boone Tractor, and every dealer is different and every experience is different, but they've been on top of everything that I ever needed. I mean, we come out here and I said, I don't have a specialty crop tool in the barn, you know what I mean? I've always done grass-based operation with hay, and we're getting into some corn side of things for this background and with my Hagen Cattle Company, but for the True Harvest side of things, I had to pick up the phone and order a massive amount of equipment in a short amount of time.
The hemp production is new to a lot of us. It's definitely new to our location. He was the first one that kind of broke us into the hemp business. Matt and his guys have taught us so much about the hemp business and as far as the equipment needs for the business. It's been great to learn it. He's been great to work with.
New Holland's been great to work with. They've offered a great line of products for us to utilize. The T5s are heavy enough to use in tillage applications, but still nimble and maneuverable enough to be able to spray and get in tight spots and go through the spray roads when the plants get tall and bushy and not tear everything up. The local dealers have been great to work with as far as ordering whatever we need. What we do here is not typical for this area, and so it's some of the stuff that we use and that we need is not in stock around here because it's not typically used. And so, they've been great to get in whatever we need.
It's been great working with a brand like New Holland that has always been able to try to keep up with the times. Just like you said, the landscape as far as the crop production and crop industry is always changing. It's always going to evolve. For them to be able to keep up with the industry and keep up with the supply and service of their products has really helped us out a lot, and it's really helped the evolving ag economy.
They were, huge, part of us being able to grow last year. A huge thank you to my local New Holland dealer over there with Boone. They really stepped up and they really helped out. And I think that's what, a lot of these folks will see is that, that's what separated, me from any other type of equipment. We're sticking with New Holland because it's the service behind it.
Just like his success in the drag racing world, Matt Hagen knows that a strong team is what will help him build a successful beef cattle and hemp operation that's in it for the long haul.
I think as a producer, I think anybody watching this show can understand how important that is, being able to have those relationships and those people care about what you're doing.
To be able to help support a first-generation farmer like Matt not only lays out the landscape, sets an example for other people my age and younger. It's nice to have people that are younger that want to get into this business because, the agriculture is what supports our daily life.
Building those relationships has been key to being successful out here on the hemp and cattle farms. I'm looking for it to be a great relationship for years to come.
From the hemp fields of True Harvest Farm, I'm Matt Fleck for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
For more information on Matt's racing career, cattle, and hemp operations, go to matthagenracing.com. And don't forget, the New Holland offers NCBA members exclusive discounts on equipment. Go to ncba.org to learn more and to become a member. Still ahead on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll take you inside a well-known event at Kansas State that caters to stocker operators. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
CattleCon 2021 is back in the Music City. Tune in to Tennessee for the cattle industry's biggest convention with education, networking, and fun, not to mention some great tunes. Plus, you can check out the huge NCBA trade show, outstanding entertainment, and much, much more. So make your plans and be there for CattleCon 2021, February 3rd through the 5th. Stay tuned to convention.ncba.org for all the details.
I'm here now with Chris Ficario with Purina Animal Nutrition. Chris, let's talk a little bit about weaned calf nutrition. I think everybody knows that the nutritional platform a calf's on when he's weaned makes a big difference across the rest of his life. Tell us a little bit about that.
You're right, Kevin. Those stressed animals during that weaning phase, or even receiving cattle in the feed yard, they all have unique nutritional requirements. Not only just protein, energy, the vitamins and minerals, but it all's tied together in a good nutritional program where we get the proper intake of those animals up front. Because without the intake, you don't get the nutrition, you don't get the energy, you don't get the protein to drive the performance of those calves to keep them healthy.
And Purina has a big, long history of a great starter program specifically made for weaned calves and those calves beginning on feed. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's right, Kevin. We have a solid line of nutritional programs that really can hit any type of management styles for our producers. All the way from complete feeds for the people that like the ability to feed a complete diet to those animals. Our Pre-Con Complete is one of those that's been around since 1968. The first pelleted preconditioning type diet for those animals, get the proper energy, the proper protein, the right nutrition, the right types of ingredients to those animals to drive intake. Then we also got some complete feeds that really drives performance. So our AccuRation starter line built with our intake modifying technology where we can increase intake, increase gain, change that eating behavior to make those animals more efficient to really drive home that performance. Then at the same time, we also have the ability for the ranchers back home that want to use their homegrown forages. We have stress care supplements, low fed rates to use in 1 pound, 2 pounds, 5 pound type packages along with their homegrown forages to get a good complete diet to those stressed animals.
So it really is something that can be customized based on both your management practices and your forage availability.
That is correct. That's the two questions we ask. How do you want to feed them? And what type of forages do you have or you don't have?
Tell folks a little bit. You have developed and introduced some very interesting technology very recently. And so tell us just a little bit about that technology and how it came to be.
Well, the new technology is called RX3 Immune Support Technology. Really, you start thinking about what are the challenges of these weaned calves and receiving calves. It's respiratory disease. So we know the proper nutrition is right, the protein and the energy and the intake, but how can we stimulate the immune system of those calves by how we feed them? And we have identified a unique blend of prebiotics, probiotics, and plant extracts that come in and let those calves stimulate that immune system. They recognize the disease challenge, they respond to it appropriately, then more importantly, they recover and they perform. So it's not a magic bullet, but at the same time, we are trying to keep those calves healthy so when they do see a challenge, the RX3 technology allows them to fight that challenge sooner so they can perform and put on additional weight gain to help pay for the feed and pay for the technology.
And I think that's key for the entire industry. Keep animals healthy.
Keep them healthy.
And a lot of it goes right back to nutrition, doesn't it?
That's right back to nutrition. That's the foundation, but we got to get beyond that now how that nutrition and immunology ties together as we go forward as an industry.
Some exciting stuff from recognized industry leaders. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing with us insight into that new technology.
You're quite welcome.
Now for more information, just go to purinamills.com/RX3. Field days have long been a valuable way for farmers and ranchers to get together, share ideas, and hear the latest updates from university researchers. Now, with COVID-19 restrictions, many of these events have either been canceled or they've gone online. In fact, the 2020 Kansas State Beef Stocker Field Day will be a virtual event this year, and it'll take place on October 1st. In the meantime, Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Brian Baxter takes a look back at the 2019 Field Day at K-State.
Each fall, over the past 2 decades, the Beef Stocker Unit at Kansas State University puts on a special field day where they share the latest research developments in the program.
The KSU Beef Stocker Field Day is an opportunity for us to illustrate the results that we have generated from our research, as well as to bring in speakers that address a multitude of topics that are relevant for our beef stocker producers.
Educational sessions during the field day touch on topics in the areas of marketing, nutrition, animal health, and technology. The goal is to give producers the most accurate and up-to-date information to help them get the best performance from their operations.
What we're really trying to look at is relevance, okay? What is impacting our producers today? What could possibly impact them into the future? And what kind of answers do we have at our disposal to help them out with that? So we try to keep them right on the cutting edge, that they have that cutting edge ability above and beyond any other producer, hopefully within the United States, which really helps Kansas beef producers really lead the way.
The producers that do attend the K-State Beef Stalker Field Day appreciate the opportunity, the exchange of ideas, the opportunity to hear cutting edge information, be it the Outlook report that's provided by one of our very own in the Department of Ag Economics. And then we also bring in a variety of topics pertaining to beef cattle health, nutrition, management aspects, all that are relevant for backgrounding and beef stalker calves.
The Kansas State Beef Stalker Field Day is our biggest event of the year. It's just our chance to get to show off what we do here. The networking's awesome. So many producers come in, you get to meet so many awesome people and get those connections and get to see what's new out there.
It's kind of a hallmark event, you know, in a 12-month period of time for stocker people that in the stocker cattle business in the state of Kansas, and some come out of state. Very seldom have I ever been here when I didn't pick up some important information.
Kansas State has one of the largest animal science departments in the United States, and the Beef Stalker Unit is one of several field research facilities at this world-renowned land-grant university.
K-State's really blessed with a whole array of livestock facilities, research facilities, on-campus lab facilities to support the research efforts. And so those centers serve research, but they also serve things like today, which is really outreach, education, and sharing of research here at the Beef Stalker Unit.
The Beef Stalker Unit here at Kansas State University is comprised of almost 1,200 acres. We have facilities to receive high-risk long-hauled calves. We also have native grass pastures, which allow us to do double stock, intensively grazed studies once a year. It also allows us to conduct producer educational events and opportunities. So it's fairly close to campus, and it allows us to really accommodate our goals at Kansas State University.
I want folks around the nation to look at Kansas State University and realize that we're leading the way into the future for our beef industry to increase our efficiency, our productivity, our well-being, everything incorporated into one. That means a lot to me.
Land-grant universities like Kansas State are a key resource for farmers and ranchers to get valuable technical assistance, educational outreach, and hands-on instruction.
It's important for producers to look at all sources of information, but what land-grant universities provide are unbiased information and research reports that are generated using controlled studies in a fair environment to properly evaluate various treatments that are being evaluated.
The best unbiased information sources is at land-grant universities, which is represented by professors at universities, in this case K-State, extension workers in the field. And so to me, yes, you can fact check things, but then if you want them to help sort through the garbage and the truth, those are the people you need to talk to.
From the KSU Beef Stalker Field Day in Manhattan, Kansas, I'm Brian Baxter reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
You can get details on this year's Stalker Field Day by going to the website ksubeef.org. And if you want to rewatch this or any other Cattlemen to Cattlemen story, just visit our YouTube page. You'll find a full archive of all of our shows, packed with educational segments, information, and producer profiles from all across the country. So go to youtube.com/Cattlemen to Cattlemen to check it out. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll tell you about the latest way NCBA and the Beef Checkoff are working to ensure consumers have the right facts about how beef is produced and the nutrients beef delivers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. NCBA is working every day to defend your interests in Washington, D.C. And there are big benefits to being a member. You'll get news you can use in the National Cattlemen and policy updates from Beltway Beef, plus big discounts from John Deere and more great partners. Join now. Call 866-233-3872 or sign up online at ncba.org.
They're here, they're hungry, and they can't be stopped with ivermectin alone. Add Safeguard when you deworm your cattle to take out resistant parasites like brown stomach worm, Couperia, Nematodirus, and others. With 2 dewormers from 2 different classes, you can kill more resistant worms in your cattle, so you don't leave potential on the table. Consult your veterinarian for the diagnosis and treatment of parasitism. Then bite back at safeguardworks.com.
In a time when most Americans are far removed from food production, it's important that consumers have access to accurate information about beef production and nutrition. That's why the Beef It's What's for Dinner campaign, managed by the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, a contractor to the Beef Checkoff, has created a video series called Real Facts About Real Beef. These short videos highlight real farmers and ranchers and other beef experts addressing some of the most common misconceptions and questions about cattle and beef. Let's take a look.
Instead of letting cattle graze all over, we could be using the land to grow crops for humans. Removing cattle from this land would make less food, not more food, and not only that, but it would be harmful for these hills, the environment in these hills. These grasslands need the grazing in order to thrive.
Find out more at beefitswhatsfordinner.com.
Methane from cattle is not the leading cause of climate change. This is incorrectly cited from a paper that's about 10 years old and was actually redacted by the authors. Cattle contribute about 2% of the greenhouse gas emissions in the US. The leading contributor is the burning of fossil fuels at about 80%, which is huge comparatively to beef cattle.
Find out more at beefitswhatsfordinner.com.
From national efforts such as the Beef It's What's for Dinner campaign to one-on-one interactions between a rancher and a consumer, it's critical to tell positive stories about beef. Brian Baxter brings us the story of a truly unique way beef is being promoted in the state of New York.
If you've watched the Winter Olympics, this sport may look familiar. It's curling, and in upstate New York, it's hugely popular. The Schenectady Curling Club was founded in 1907, and today this club is the home ice for Team Beef.
There's 5 of us in the Schenectady Curling Club that are on Team Beef, and I'm a member of that team. As an organization, Team Beef typically works with runners across the country, and I was having a conversation with Gene O'Toole, who's the director here at the New York Beef Council, and just through, we were sitting there having coffee one morning. It was a very cold February morning. We were sitting in a coffee shop just down the street and talking, and she goes, I've got a fun idea. What if we take Team Beef, and instead of doing running, what if we do curling?
I wasn't sure exactly basically the whole universe that we were about to get involved in, and since then it's really been a very expanding viewpoint of mine, that learning about the organization in the industry and getting to have some fun curling while doing it, it's been eye-opening.
The best thing about Team Beef is we're reaching out to a whole different group of people that we may not normally reach out to, whether it's runners or curlers or mountain bikers or whatever sport it happens to be. They may not be including lean beef as a protein source in their diet, and by letting Team Beef do that, we may be bringing in a whole new group of customers.
In curling, the teams slide heavy stones called rocks on a sheet of ice toward a circular target. They sweep the ice to help smooth the path for the rock. Closest to the center scores big. For Team Beef, being on the ice week after week competing against other teams actually opens the door to conversations about beef.
It's definitely a different idea to have a curling team representing Team Beef, but I'll tell you, we've had so many interesting conversations. So curling, I'll take a step back and say that curling's a very social sport. While you're on the ice, you're serious, you're competitive, you're playing against the other team. Then afterwards, we'll sit down and they go, what's the deal with Team Beef? What's the story there? And that's where we get a chance to talk about, beef as a larger picture, beef and what some of the beef producers are doing and tell that story. But it's also a chance to talk about lean beef is a great protein source.
It's that connection when they see Team Beef and they are inquisitive that they start asking questions, well, what do you mean Team Beef? And that's when the conversation starts. And when these guys are done curling, they all get together with the team that they're opposing, sit down, have a few beers, and all of a sudden the conversation about steaks and roasts and production, and these guys got to see that. They're MBA certified, so they're able to talk farm to fork and have great knowledge of that.
That all stems from, hey, what's Team Beef? What's that all about? And then usually that we can spiral the conversation into, hey, let me teach you about what I know and about all the industry, and maybe open your eyes a little bit and appreciate it a little more as well.
There was a gentleman, and I sat and talked to him for probably 20 minutes, and as he left, he goes, I'm gonna have to have a conversation with my wife. She thought red meat was bad, and I'm gonna have to go have a conversation and tell her that she needs to rethink this. And so that was a really cool feeling for me, is that, like, yes, it's just one person, but hey, that's one person, and it all adds up. We can't hit everybody once, but if I can have a meaningful, 20-minute conversation about beef and beef production with someone, that's really cool.
During the season, the Team Beef members curl several times a week, and they travel to tournaments. In this way, they make one-on-one contact with scores of others who can't miss the beef messages on their team gear.
You can't help but see it, whether it's on our jacket, whether it's on jackets, whether it's somewhere. Somebody's going to see that and say, hey, tell me the story about Team Beef.
They got jackets, put the Team Beef patches on, and then we got them the shirts, Team Beef, because their jackets will come off eventually with them running up and down and sweeping. So that's a nice layer.
But the fact that people like Dave and the whole team can go to a group that has no idea about beef or the benefits of beef, and it's a conversation starter when they have the Team Beef t-shirts on. Well, what's that? And then we're empowering another group of people to spread the good word of what we're doing. So this is an extremely unique opportunity for the Beef Council to have somebody else spread the word.
Team Beef Curling is funded by checkoff dollars. None of the Team Beef members have an agricultural background, so they visited Doug Giles's farm to become more equipped to share the beef story.
He showed us what a typical day on his farm is like and what he does and some of the challenges he's facing, and that was really eye-opening because while I have been on a couple farms myself, I still learn something new every time I step foot on a farm. And then my teammates, this was, for many of them, the first time they'd ever stepped foot on a cattle farm. So for them to see that was really cool.
The Beef Council has provided us the opportunity to go basically learn more about different aspects of the industry. So if we went on a producer visit, saw basically how cows are raised and all the things that go into them.
I can't say enough good things about the Beef Checkoff and the New York Beef Council for what they're doing to promote beef. It is really quite important, I do believe, and so as I mentioned earlier, beef producers, they're really hardworking folks.
And at a practice session, cattle producer Doug Giles and Gene O'Toole of the New York Beef Council had some fun taking curling lessons and talking over the kinds of opportunities Team Beef can help to create now and in the future.
This is more than just a patch on our sleeve. Team Beef is where we are representing all the producers across the country, and that brings us a lot of pride to be able to do that. That's special for us to be able to talk about beef and talk about that message.
I've had beef conversations in the strangest places, and to have it on ice and in curling, I think is the greatest opportunity ever because it's unexpected. And if these are 5 guys that sit down with 5 guys after, that's 5 more people that know, and they'll go home and go, you're not going to believe what I heard today. Or next time they're in the grocery store, they're going to look at beef a little bit differently, maybe hopefully a little more positively.
Team Beef Curling is sponsored by the New York Beef Council with checkoff funding from the Iowa Beef Council, both members of the Federation of State Beef Councils. On the ice with Team Beef, I'm Brian Baxter reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Want to learn about some of the other great ways that checkoff dollars are being used to increase beef demand? Then visit the Beef It's What's for Dinner website. You'll also find things like recipes, information on beef cuts, and nutritional information at this one-stop shop for all things beef. When we return, it's time for a visit with our good friend, Baxter Black. Stay with us.
We didn't just design the 6M tractors with you in mind. We designed them with you by our side. The new 6M tractors from John Deere, reimagined by you, for you. With improved visibility, better maneuverability, and more ways to customize, so you get everything you need and nothing you don't. Experience the new 6M at your local John Deere dealer.
Out of the box for the Reride Side of Rodeo. 3 audio books, rodeo novels by Baxter Black. A total of 23 hours following our cowboy guys and gals on the road to the finals. Rambunctious, exciting, kind-hearted, and funny, of course. $39.90. CDs or downloads, BaxterBlack.com. 800-654-2550. On the road to the rodeo, horse show, state fair, ball game, or grandma's house, climb on up and take a ride with me.
Did you know that Prefert makes over 1,000 different farm, ranch, and rodeo items? And now, thanks to Prefert Direct, it's easier than ever before to get access to every item Prefert makes delivered direct to your local dealer. For more information about Prefert Direct, visit us at Prefert.com. Prefert, America's #1 name in farm, ranch, and rodeo.
Cowboys are nothing if not ingenious. Jim and Norval, aliases, were backtracking one fall after the gather. By noon, they cut fresh sign of a bull. They spotted him out in the open and eased up on him. He was a short-tempered, hostile, territorial, man-eating ruler of the range. Trying to outthink our cowboys, the bull dove into a wash thick with brush and disappeared. Our brave cowboys dove in after him as the brush tore at their shirts and slashed at their faces. After 10 minutes of following the bull through this cowboy version of a maze, they regrouped. Using their cowboy mentality, they decided to build a trap. In one narrow cow tunnel, they draped a loop across the path and tied the standing end of the rope to a tree trunk. Eureka! On the first pass through the trap, they caught the bull. Then a second rope was put around his neck and tied to a trunk 15 feet further down the trail. Then the first loop was untied and leapfrogged past the second. 5 more jumps brought the bull within sight of the clearing where our imaginative vaqueros intended to back the trailer and load the bull. Jim, now afoot, managed to loop the bull's head for the last leapfrog. By now, the bull was frothing, breathing like a steam engine, and wild-eyed. Jim dropped to his hands and knees, scuttling towards the final tying spot when he heard the bull bellow, the sound of thundering hooves and branches breaking. The earth trembled. Jim didn't look back. The impact put him in orbit. He was catapulted from the thicket like a monkey shot out of a cannon. To his everlasting good fortune, just as the bull's pole hit Jim's hip pocket, the rope came tight, the bull crashed and flipped, and Jim hit the ground, minus one boot and the left sleeve of his shirt. His hat was down over his ears. Not exactly out of the Beef Quality Assurance Manual for handling cattle, although I'd like to see it included, fully illustrated. This is Baxter Black from out there.
If you'd like to know more about NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen and have an opportunity to support our effort to create valuable news, information, and education just for cattle producers, then check out our website, cattlementocattlemen.org. you have an upcoming production sale to advertise? Then contact the Cattlemen to Cattlemen marketing team to learn more.
There's no question the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA trade show is one of the highlights for thousands of cattlemen and women all across the country. The NCBA meetings team is working to create a safe and responsible way for producers to come together to enjoy this legendary event. It's not too early to start making plans to attend from February 3rd through the 5th in Nashville, Tennessee. You can get all the details at the website convention.ncba.org. We're wrapping up this week's show with some great shots submitted by our viewers of their daily life on their own farms and ranches. Let's take a look. As we wrap up this week's show, please know our thoughts and prayers continue to be with all of you who are dealing with drought, the wildfires, and all the other weather-related events impacting our nation. Thanks so much for joining us for this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. We'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.